Yeah, we'll call him. Daddy's got to go get dressed. We'll go bye-bye, okay?
All right, buddy. Thanks for joining us. Talk Coach Stanley here for post-practice. You could raise your hand or send me a note in the chat if you have any questions for her. Pat, you want to start us off with questions from Marianne?
Sure. Hi, Marianne. Hope all is well. Talking to some of the players a couple days ago, it seemed like you gave them maybe a couple of weeks off, and then you've been back practicing pretty hard the past few weeks. I know every coach has maybe a slightly different philosophy on how to handle this time. What went into your thought process on handling it that way?
Well, we wanted to give them significant time off. It's awfully hard when you got like a whole month of not playing and trying to pick up where you left off, which for us, we were on a roll. You know, I feel like in some regards, the break came at a bad time in terms of interrupting our momentum a little bit. And so we just said, you know what, we finished the first half on a good note with a good string of wins and great energy and effort. And we wanted to reward our players with, you know, I think it was like 11 or 12 days off, and then we got back to it. And you have to have enough time to feel like you're getting your conditioning level back and working out some kinks and getting back, you know, the chemistry and everything that you had rolling, get that back together before we play again. So, you know, they've been working hard. It's been very good. And we're looking forward to this trip.
I know you've had plenty of time to look back at these last few games. What were you the most pleased with?
I think we finally matured as a team in terms of, you know, chemistry and playing together and figuring each other out. You know, one of the things that I think, you know, you have to just remind yourself about is that we had quite a few roster changes and roles that changed. And, you know, you don't just automatically everything fall into place. It takes a little bit of time. And we had a really, really difficult early part of our schedule. I mean, really difficult. I don't think it could have been more difficult. Let's put it that way. And with a bunch of new faces, that was not, that was less than ideal for sure. To feel like you can get going on all cylinders and get the chemistry and get the cohesiveness that you're looking for. It took us a while. When we finally had a bunch of practice days in a row where we could really work on some things, we really improved. I thought our improvement over the last couple of weeks of the first part of the schedule was terrific. So, it took us a while to get there, but, we found our groove, and, we'd like to get right back to that if we can.
We saw the injury report this morning. Is there any update you can share on Jantel and Chelsea?
Yeah, Jantel is still receiving therapy on a knee. She had a treatment on her knee, and we're expecting to have her back, I guess, another week or so. She is questionable, for this trip. Actually, I'd say she's questionable for this trip. Chelsea Perry is still being evaluated. She got injured on Monday in practice. She's out indefinitely right now. She's not going to make the trip. So, we still have some final decisions to make in terms of who's actually active and not.
And you mentioned some of the just roster movement that you had and just the kind of new team you had at the beginning of the season. Do you feel like any of that is kind of a challenge now here too, as you come out of the break? You have Emma with you, correct? I mean, what's it like trying to get her up to speed and get her in the flow with everything you're doing?
Well, the good thing is that, Emma's got a lot of experience. She's been in the league. She's a player that brings a lot of energy. And like I said, the energy and experience are intact. The thing she's gotten up to speed on is playing the way we want her to play here. And she's been very good. She's been welcomed. She happened to be teammates with both Danielle Robinson and Lindsay Allen when she was in Vegas, and she played with Kelsey Mitchell over in Turkey this winter. So there's a familiarity there that I think helped her adjust pretty quickly, but she's been fine. She's been doing real well for us.
Great. That's all I have. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Rashawn Haylock, anything for Coach?
Hey, Coach. Thanks for taking the time.
Sure.
In terms of what were some key ingredients in terms of the way you're able to end that first half that you hope are applicable and transfer over now as you start the second half?
Well, like I said, I think we finally found our groove, and we started to play more cohesively as a team because we had time to actually practice and make adjustments from what we learned in the games. The problem the first 2 weeks of the season was we played so many games in so few days. You really didn't have an opportunity to reevaluate what you're doing in between games. It was like, okay, a recovery day and then another game, and then a recovery day and then another game. It was really pretty tough. So once we got a string of practices together where we could adequately prepare for each upcoming opponent, I think we played better, and we put ourselves in a position to win some games. So I think, example, when we played Connecticut the first time, it was a close loss. We learned a lot, and then we turned around and played them a few days later, and we were able to pull out a win against a very good team, arguably a real good team. Some people might say the best team in the East. I don't know. But what I know is that our team did what it needed to do to make the adjustments, learn from the first one, and go back out and win the second one. And I think that gave us some confidence that propelled us into the next two wins. And so though that's the kind of growth and development and improvement that you want to see. So like every time we go out, we want to get better. That's our goal. And I think if we keep doing that, then we can compete with anybody in the league. That's the challenge.
How would you describe you and Tamika's relationship in terms of your cohesiveness and how you see the roster and things of that nature?
I think it's really good. We hit it off right from the beginning, and, I have the utmost respect for her and what she's brought to the game and what she's done for basketball and what she's doing here with the Indiana Fever and in our company. Terrific leader, terrific role model, couldn't ask for a better ambassador for Indiana Fever basketball and the WNBA, quite frankly. So, it's been an honor and a terrific time working with her. And, I think we both want a championship culture. We both want a championship caliber team and understand that it takes time to build that. So you don't replace a Tamika Catchings on your roster very easily or readily. So, that all takes time. And, again, you don't want somebody saying, I'm the next Tamika Catchings. What you want is people saying, hey, I respect and appreciate how hard she worked, the manner in which she played. And I want to be that type of player for our team. So, we want a roster full of those if we can get them.
Just a couple more for me. In terms of Robinson, how important is she just in terms of just her experience and what it is that you're trying to get accomplished there?
Yeah, D-Rob's been great from the beginning. She's a leader on and off the court, and she's an impactful player because she plays both ends of the floor really hard. I think she might be, if you said top 5 players in the league taking charges, she's definitely one of them. She'll go into a game and have multiple charges taken in a game. So she's playing the defensive end. On the offensive side, she's playing really good basketball. She's pushing the pace for us. We've asked her to make sure that she's not passing up the ball so much that she neglects her own offense, to be aggressive and keep looking for opportunities. And I think in that stretch where we won 3 in a row, she was a big part of the reason that we played so well. She played well individually and we played well collectively.
And then as far as Tierra and then Vivian's as well, first for Tierra, how has her role sort of evolved throughout the course of this season? And then what more or what more do you need from Vivian's?
Okay, give me the question again on Tierra.
I guess first for Tierra, how has her role evolved throughout the course of this season?
Well, Tierra is somebody that's a go-to player in the post, and she's had games where she started and had games where she's come off the bench. Some of it is scout specific, that type of thing. But she's somebody who we feel very comfortable with in the post, scoring for us and defending the rim. And she's worked hard and keeps improving. So she's still a young player who's growing in her experience and growing in her skill set. And she's done really well. I mean, there's been a number of games where she's come out with a double-double and done a great job for us. So, I think that the challenge for Tierra is staying aggressive and motivated to keep improving every time she hits the floor.
And then what about Victoria?
What about her? Ask me a question.
In terms of her role, like is she still kind of battling through the injury, or how have you seen her this season just from a health from that recovery standpoint and how she's been able to?
She's healthy. She's fine. And Tori has a really good skill set. I think she's one of the better spot up shooters in the game. And, we've utilized her, in lots of different situations, both on the wing and also playing a little bit of the 4. So, she's somebody that we're confident, can contribute, excuse me, in a lot of ways. I don't think she gets enough credit for her defense. I think she's underappreciated, not by us, but by maybe outsiders for her defense. But, she's having a good season, and I think she finally hit her stride in that stretch of wins. So it was good to see her relaxing and playing the way she's capable of playing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Paul, you got time for 1 or 2 more here for Coach?
Thank you. Hey, Coach, I've just got one quick question to ask
Tully.
you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you enjoyed some break yourself.
Hello.
Yeah, never on break, I'm sure. Coming out of the gate, we've got LA, a team that obviously, for various reasons, will be highly motivated to prove some points themselves. Regardless of who's on the floor at the time for the Fever, what are a couple of the key points that, you're going into this game that's like, look, this has to be at this level for the entire game for us to, be on the right side of that scoreboard?
Well, I think one of the things that we've focused on is improving our defense. And I think during that, the latter part of the first half of the season, our defense improved tremendously. And it's going to have to be on point against LA. Last time we played them, they pretty much did whatever they wanted. And so we have to be much, much better than that. And, I feel like we gained the experience we need to approach them a little bit differently in an improved fashion. But as you mentioned, they're going to be highly motivated. I know NECA is rejoining, and
Yeah,
probably
which you was alluding to, yeah.
Chene and Christy Teller. So that, those are 3 all-star caliber players that they add to an already pretty decent, team. We just want to go out there and play aggressively and know that they're one of the quicker, more athletic teams in the league. And we've got to do things like taking care of the basketball and handle pressure, that kind of stuff, but also compete, just competing athletically with them, being able to get up and down the floor. And now they have a lot more depth. And so I think that's, it allows them to do some different things that maybe we didn't see in the first game. So, we're anticipating that NECA is going to be just fine and Christy will be just fine, and they're going to contribute in the ways that they typically do. But it just adds extra dimensions to the LA roster that, that's a pretty good, big bump up and a good bump up for Coach Fisher.
That last game, was that more about not executing the game plan defensively or just not executing in general?
I think in general, and I don't want to take anything
Or a
away
mix of
from
both.
them. I think they did a good job, and it was one of those games where we just got punched in the face right away, and we staggered around before we could recover. Really, they got good play out of their guards. If I remember correctly, they knocked down a lot of threes, which going into that game they weren't shooting the ball well from the perimeter. So it's a home game for them, and they found their stride certainly from beyond the arc, and that really hurt. So. We'll chalk it up and we've learned from it, and we're better prepared this time around, and we're going out to LA to go win a basketball game. I mean, that's how we're looking at it.
I appreciate it, Coach. Go get one.
Okay, thanks, Tully. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Mary Ann. We'll bring
Okay.
Kelso Mitchell in next, everybody.
All right, thanks.
All right, Pat, I want to start us off with Kelsey, and just so everybody knows, I think Lindsay will be hopping on here in a second. I think she's going home, so she should be on soon for questions as well.
Okay. Yep. Thanks. Hey, Kelsey. You've talked before just about how close you are with your family, and how important it is to you to be able to get to see them during the year, and how much that can even improve your play on the floor. So did you get the chance in the couple of weeks that Mary Ann gave you to get some time with the family? And if so, how beneficial was that for you?
Oh yeah, definitely, man. My vacation, I wasn't fortunate enough to go to Cabo like everybody else. I actually went home. I just closed on my first condo, so I kind of focused on like trying to be an adult, getting stuff in the house, getting shoes in there, furniture, the basics, and kind of like, kind of figure out, being a homeowner. So that was pretty fun. And on top of that, or in the midst of that, I got a chance to hang out with my family, kind of made fun out of everything. And so I spent my couple weeks there. So I definitely enjoyed it.
Do you feel like this is obviously an interesting year? It happens every 4 years, the Olympic year, where you get this break in the middle of the season. Do you think it provides for an opportunity to kind of reflect mid-season and maybe make some adjustments that you typically wouldn't be able to make in a normal year?
Oh, definitely, for sure. Obviously, if you are fortunate enough to be in those events, All-Star, Olympic, it's definitely something, you want to look forward to. But the break itself is like one of those things where you get to hit the recharge button, you get a chance to hit reset, kind of like take a time back and kind of recognize where you are, and be grateful for where you are. So that's kind of what I did. It was less about basketball for me in these couple of weeks, and it was just more about the idea of being normal, quote unquote, and just kind of like living day by day and understanding that it's a lot to be grateful for. So I was pretty excited to kind of like take advantage of the break and kind of get my bearings straight mentally.
From an on the floor perspective, it really seemed like you started to maybe find the version of yourself that you were playing at that level of last year. It seemed like you started to find that over the last 6, 7, however many games going
Yeah.
into the break.
For sure.
Did you sense anything that changed positively for you? And to you, what's the key to carrying that over here for the final 12?
For me, man, I think that down the stretch of like, different selections, obviously you want to be a part of certain things, and not being able to kind of like frustrate you from a standpoint of like, you want to compete and be a part of what what they say the best is. I think like being able to experience that, you're in a conversation and not be selected. I think that kind of like put me in a standpoint of like understanding what I need to focus on to be better as a player. And then I like mentally and like being able to see like it from a different standpoint of like understanding that it's all a part of the process kind of like helped me like, mentally get to where I needed to those last 8 or so games to just kind of like do my work and go home and know that I did my work. So it kind of made me feel good at going into those games and even for our team that we was able to win and, string a few together and understand that, it's a process and it's going to be like this. And when you find it and, you're right there, you can keep it going.
Great. That's all I have. Thank you.
Tully, anything for Kelsey?
Matey, I think TVs were the first thing that were the addition to the new house. When you said shoes first, I was TV. You talked about, the disappointment of not being, being talked about, but then not being part of the process. So has that got that extra motivation for you? And secondly, you're coming up against a team who also has a player who was part of the process and then didn't get, so you can understand what motivation she's going to be bringing into that
Sure.
game as well.
For sure. I think for me, Telly, is like understanding that, like I said, it's a process, but understanding like, in a way, like you got to understand what the bottom feel like to understand, like, or to like mentally be able to move on. And so I've kind of put in perspective that this is a part of the process. It's a grind, and that people have different motivations, and like being able to be in a room or be on the court with a person like NECA and understand what she's going through just makes me have so much more respect for her as a player and as a person. And so when you're talking about competing with somebody, it's only right to want to compete against them as well. So it's definitely going to be a challenge for us. And, we're going to have to compete in order to get a win in LA. We know how good they are, how aggressive, how fast they are. So we look forward to knowing that, people have different motivations and we got to kind of all put it on the court.
And just, just with the way the team, finished off the first half of the season, chemistry was, so much better. Do you feel like, obviously it correlated to you just being able to get open more? Just, it wasn't as difficult, say, in that first half of that half.
Yeah.
All that defensive attention was on you. Did you feel like it was all just starting to click now and, you had a little bit of pressure taken off your shoulders?
For sure. I think as the games went on, I was starting to like find my spots and like recognize like where I'm most effective at. And I think that was just a part of like watching film and understanding my worth. It's always weird because you can go and watch film and try to like, reactivate or say, ooh, or, have a reaction to everything. But like, I think for me, it's like mentally and like psychologically know my worth and knowing that, I bring something good to the table and I can utilize it at every given moment in the game. And as long as I continue to believe that, I think I got a chance. And I think our team has a chance.
Well, I think we all know what your worth is, matey. Good luck on Sunday.
I appreciate you, Teddy.
All right. Bye.
Rashawn, you got time for one or two more with Kelsey?
Hey, Kelsey. Rashawn Haylock in Los Angeles. I kind of want to touch on the shoes thing again. How, like, at what point, like, how long have you been, big, like, how did it start, I guess, for you in terms of your love of shoes?
My love for shoes started when I was young. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. When I was like 10 or 11, I was like saving my lunch money. I would get lunch money like $5 a week, to prepare for some J's that was coming out. And I would like save all my lunch money up to the month, and I asked my grandma for like $30 to like get it together. So because at the time, like Jordans was only like $85, you know what I'm saying? So I started learning how to save money early. I've been kind of loving shoes for a long time. Now my love for shoes is different compared to like, your PJ Tuckers. I like what I like, but I stay on my budget.
As far as on the court, what did we see those last 3 games from this team that makes you so dynamic, that could be beneficial here in the second half?
I think for us, it was like knowing that we could play both sides of the ball for 40 minutes. And recognizing that, you know, we don't work on stuff just to work on it. And that once we put it into play, I think it shows how good we are as a team. And collectively, it also shows how each one of us brings something really amazing to the table. And then once we piece it together, you know, we got a chance. We got a chance to win some games. And I think that's what happened the last couple.
Thank you very much.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you, Kelsey. We got LA on here now. Pat, we want to go back through anything for Lindsay?
Sure. Hi, Lindsay. Can you just give us a general idea of how you spent this last month? I know the last few weeks have been back on the practice floor and getting back into gear with the team. How much needed was that couple of weeks off that Marianne gave you guys?
Yeah, for sure. I think for us, I think everyone was just kind of excited to get away for a couple weeks and see friends, family, just vacation, get away from basketball, get away from just everything, you know, that our professional lives kind of encompass in that way. But yeah, I think it was much needed. And then when we came back for these past 3 weeks of practice, you know, just kind of getting our minds back right and, you know, getting back into the swing of things and trying to finish his second half of the season strong.
And then along that note, you guys obviously are playing very well going into this Olympic break. What do you see as the key to getting back to that level here in game number 1 after it in LA?
Yeah, I think those past few games before the Olympic break, we were really just locked into what we had to do. And we were playing with high energy and high focus and just a high pace as well. So I think for us, just kind of locking back into our scouting reports and what the coaches are asking of us and doing as best as we can and working as hard as we can to kind of tune into that. But also, you know, playing with passion and playing with high energy and just playing for each other, essentially.
Is it correct that you played with Emma briefly in Vegas?
Yeah, last year in the bubble, Emma came in kind of halfway through or like the last third of the season and then finished out with us. So yeah, we did play together.
What has this process been like for you as one of the familiar faces that she has as she comes into, you know, what I'm sure can be a challenging situation mid-season?
Yeah, I think it's good to have Emma. I think, you know, she's a vet in this league and she's a vet just in the basketball world in general. And so she's a really good teammate. She fits in anywhere really, really well. And everyone just really enjoys having her as a teammate. And it's good to be on her team again.
How do you think that she's coming along in terms of just getting integrated with the new system and trying to mesh with all of you?
Yeah, I think with Emma, she's a really good connector and she's always communicating and talking and just kind of talking about what she sees and making sure we have high energy at all times. And so I think she's picking up the pace pretty quickly. I mean, everyone in the league kind of runs similar stuff, just kind of tweaks here and there. So I think she's picking things up really well.
Great. That's all I have. Thank you.
Yep.
Rashawn, anything for Lindsay?
Yes. Hey, Lindsay, Rashawn Haylock here in Los Angeles. How can you kind of describe the challenge of just the difficult start to the season you had as a team versus, I guess, the optimism now, as it seems like a corner may have been turned, you know, at the end of that first half?
Yeah, I think to start the season, you know, we didn't have a ton of practice time once we started playing games and we were traveling a bunch and just kind of trying to mesh well together as a team, as a new team with a bunch of new players. Most players on this team are new. And so we were just kind of trying to work things out on the fly without, you know, much time to really sit down and talk about it or practice it and, you know, keep repping it during practice. And so that was a bit of a challenge. But I think, you know, we just needed that time to really gel and really get to learn each other and just know what it takes to be successful in this league and be a great team in this league. And I think those last 3 games before break, you kind of saw us putting it together a bit more, just in terms of playing with high energy at all times and high focus. And, you know, even when we did make mistakes, we were making up for it and just continuing to play hard and play for each other.
As a group of guards, how dynamic can this group be?
I think we can be really dynamic. I think we have such great kind of playmakers and just quickness amongst our guard group, you know, with Kelsey and with Tiff and with D-Rob. And so I think whenever they have the ball, they're a threat and they can really bring the ball up whenever. They can start the offense if they want. It's just kind of, we can just rotate the guards just throughout our 3 guard spots. So yeah, we can be really dynamic.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Tully, want to finish this off? Anything for Lindsay? Okay, guess we should be good there. Lindsay, thank you so much. Pat, Rashawn, thanks so much, and talk to everybody for Sunday.
Cool.
Thanks,
Thank
Ryan.
you.